subscribe. Darling Radio. Like and subscribe.
Let's get Expert.
What's up, man?
How you
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's up, Expert?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
I'm good, man. What's on your mind?
Man, I got a lot. I got quite a few things to say to you, to be honest with you, man.
All right, go.
Well, I guess the first thing I'll say is I do support your message overall.
Okay.
Um, I appreciate the fact that you are an outspoken advocate for Black people.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need people like that. I think that's important.
Now, are you a Caucasian?
But
Are you Caucasian?
no, I'm Black. I'm half FBA.
Okay, where's your mom from?
So my mom was born in LA, but my grandfather is from Paris, Texas. So it's in like the northern part of Texas, like on the border of Oklahoma.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm actually funnily enough, my grandfather's great grandfather was actually a slave. He was born in Mississippi. He was on a cotton plantation in Mississippi. So I'm half FBA.
And where's your dad from?
He's from El Salvador.
Okay, got it.
Well, he was born in LA too, but his family's from El Salvador.
Got it. Okay. So
Yeah.
what issues do you have?
Um, I think that overall you are, I feel like your message is good. You say a lot of good things, but I feel like you've become kind of a net negative to the Black community in some
How
respects.
so?
I feel like you're a net negative because you preach a lot of divisiveness, and it's not necessarily that divisiveness is bad inherently, but I think it's kind of like counterproductive at the end of the
Give
day.
an
Like the
an
sum.
example of my divisiveness that I speak of.
So you reiterate a lot of kind of like white supremacist narratives, in my opinion,
Like
stuff
what?
that you would hear.
You keep saying,
Um,
you go, wait. Okay, I've asked 3 times to give an example. You just made a bunch of accusations if you've not given one example. We're
okay,
not.
I can give you an example.
So now that's kind of white supremacy when you just kind of say shit and don't back it up. Give
Okay,
me an example.
yeah,
What
yes,
divisive or
yeah.
like white supremacy? I got to hear this.
Okay, yeah. So I would say a lot of times when you talk about like Black folks, especially like African immigrants, especially, it comes across that way. Like when you say you're bush meat, things like that, or when you say like you come from a failed homeland, things like that. Like when you say things like that, it's very reminiscent of white supremacist talking points.
Is calling us lazy and we don't work hard and we're on drugs, is that white supremacy? Because they do that to us all the time.
Oh no, that is. It,
So
it goes both
how
ways. It goes both ways.
El Salvadorians, your
What about them?
they come over here with them El Salvadorian gangs, MS-13 and all of them.
Hmm. Not my family.
Nah,
We came here legally.
nah, but still, them El Salvadorians, they're clicked in with the Aryans over here, especially in jail.
Is that true?
Yeah,
I don't think that's true.
yeah.
I,
It is
where is this? Is this in LA?
Southern California. Yeah, the Hispanic.
I'm from LA. I've never heard that.
Have you? Well, you never been to jail. You don't know about
True.
the system. They do.
Yeah.
They're allied with the Aryans in jail. The Mexicans and the El Salvadorians, MS-13s, and all them. They
Well, that's terrible.
they align with the white. So what you just did was called a projection, sir. That's a projection. All right. So we better be clear on not putting out projections like that. That's not.
Well,
Now what? Now
okay.
divisive. Now you said something about divisive. What now?
Yeah.
What's divisive?
So I would say this, right? I lived in DC for a while and I met a lot of Ethiopians and I met a lot of Somalians
Right.
and a lot of them are outspoken, a lot of them are advocates for foundational Black Americans as well. A lot of us get along perfectly well with them and there's no animosity or beef. And I think you're trying to like stir up this artificial conflict between African immigrants and Black people and it's just like
It's,
why are you creating an unnecessary conflict?
wait,
It's like not, I
wait,
don't think that's necessary.
so you're saying because what you're saying to all of us in here that immigrants who come here, do things to us, do things to get in positions over us to harm us. We're not supposed to call that out. We're not supposed to call out all of these non-FBAs who's a part of the Congressional Black Caucus who get in power and don't do anything for our lineage, but do a bunch of things for immigrants. And that's not divisive, but us calling it out is divisive.
Well, what are they? I'm sorry, you're gonna have to be specific. What are they not doing for black people? How are they sabotaging black people?
They don't.
Because I don't.
Well, when you have people like Kamala Harris, the head tether in charge, who say with her whole chest she ain't gonna do nothing that only benefits black people, yeah, that's a problem. You ain't.
Tariq, you have to see the bigger
Oh,
picture.
I see the bigger picture. The bigger picture is her ass not getting elected. That's what the bigger picture is.
D- Tariq, are you aware of how unpopular reparations is? Not even just
Do you
amongst.
think I give a damn? We don't.
Well, I'm saying
We,
Kamala is worried about political viability. She's not going
a
to go
lot
up
of
there and
things.
say she wants to.
No, no, no. LGBT stuff ain't that popular either, but they press for it. Don't nobody want that shit. They don't want trans stuff in the schools, but they put it in there anyway. That's extremely unpopular. They put it in anyway. So I don't give a damn what's unpopular. We're standing on business. Slavery and freedom wasn't popular. We said, hey, we're going to make it popular. Civil rights wasn't popular. These folks didn't want us to have no civil rights in the 60s. Why?
Well, you have. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, 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 no. See, you're bringing your immigrant side of the family. You're bringing that mindset over here that we don't have. That's why it looks divisive to you because we stand on business based on what's righteous, not what's popular. Some bullshit can be popular. We're standing on what's righteous. And what's righteous is justice. What's righteous is our reparations. I don't give a damn if it's unpopular. They sit up here and give our resources to all of these non FBAs. That's divisive. Are you saying
Well, how?
we're supposed to just sit here and let our resources get given away to all of these other groups indefinitely?
Well, no, 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 no. Not give away resources to other groups indefinitely. No, that's not what I'm saying. I don't even disagree with the idea of reparations in theory. I think that reparations is a totally defensible idea. I'm more so speaking to the mindset of why people don't go up there and say it. It's because if they do, they're not going to get elected.
Okay,
There's no way.
but
Like,
okay,
do you think you understand what that means when
well,
you
no,
ask for
I'm trying to,
reparations? You know what that
but
implies?
why is it divisive? Why are we divisive? You said we're divisive.
Well, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, if I'm divisive because I want my lineage to get what they're supposed to get. I want them to get tangibles because they need help too. How is that divisive?
Well, because what you're basically doing is you're making people pay for the sins of their father. You're making people
Your
who had nothing
dad
to.
is over here getting paid from the
Yes, I agree. I agree. I agree. I
right,
agree.
right. So if
I agree. That's true.
your daddy can come over from El Salvador and get
Yes.
resources and benefits, miss me with
Well, he's an American citizen. He worked for it, so it's not the same. Don't frame it like that.
no, he
We've paid into the system too. We've
no,
been, and
no,
I'm also half FBA, so you can't use that
no,
argument.
no, 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 no. Your people, your dad came over here and got a bunch of unearned benefits.
No, he didn't. He's an American citizen. He's a legal citizen. He was
Yeah,
born here,
ba-
and his mom was a citizen.
he got
They got legal.
he got unearned benefits. When your dad came here, he pulled up a plate and started eating. He didn't bring anything to this country. He came over here and pulled up a plate and got a bunch of benefits from being an immigrant, sir. We didn't owe him nothing, but he got stuff. Immigrants get stuff. I don't want to hear all of that. If foundational Black Americans get something, you're paying for the sins of the father and all of that bullshit. No, we're the only people who are really owed something. We're really owed. Your father coming over from El Salvador is not owed anything. So that's not divisive why saying that I don't want to keep giving my resources to non-citizens. I want to make sure foundational Black Americans are good. How is that divisive? Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you. That's my bad.
It's all right. It's
Uh,
all right. It's all right. But go ahead.
I want to be respectful. Well, a couple things. I'll say this. What was your question again? Sorry, there was a lot there. What was the last question?
Yeah, my thing is if your dad and other immigrants can come over here and get a whole bunch of plethora of resources, Why is that okay? But when we want it, it's paying for the sins of the father and all of that. When we want resources that we earn on our own homeland, why is that a problem?
Okay, so I'll address the part about the sins of the father thing, and then I'll address how my dad is involved in that second. So the first one I'll say is like you have to think about it from the broader perspective. If a bunch of people feel like they have to pay taxes into a system that is basically repatriating their taxpayer money to reparations, that's not like a politically viable thing. Like like that's just not going to poll well. That's not going to work. You're going to have a lot of people who protest that. I just don't. And I'm not even saying the idea of it is bad. I think it's a perfectly justifiable and defensible idea in theory, like reparations. That makes perfect sense to me. I just don't see it working pragmatically. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's a successful thing. I think if Black people in this country want power, you need to build a coalition. You need to get smart, talented people to come together, and then you need to lobby Congress. But you can't just ask for reparations. That's the first thing I'd say.
Okay,
And then
okay.
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I would say with that, I completely disagree.
Yeah, yeah.
I disagree with that. Because yeah, we're owed that. And we're not going to sit up here and let this debt linger indefinitely.
Hmm.
Built this country from the ground up. That money and the resources was passed down generationally, locked in generationally, and the deprivation of those resources has been locked in. And all of these other groups have been prioritized over us, and those days are over. And the thing is, and the problem is, there's an ungratefulness there. We sit up here prioritizing these other groups as foundational Black Americans, helping them out. And then when we say, you know what, it's time for us to look out for ourselves, we get gentlemen like you who call in and say that I'm divisive because I want to look out for my lineage. I think that's very disrespectful. And that's probably the reason why the pendulum is swinging and people are very indifferent to all of this deportation that's going on. Because what you did, that type of disrespect, that's disrespectful not just to me, not just to people in here, but to our lineage. And you can say, well, yeah, you got somebody who might have been a slave somewhere, but you have dual allegiance. And that's a different vibe. You still have a different energy from a full foundational Black American because you still have somewhat of an exploitive mindset. So one part of the lineage wants to exploit the other part. So there's a dichotomy and a dual allegiance there that a lot of us full foundational Black Americans don't have. I'm 10 toes down for the lineage because I'm FBA on both sides of my family. I ain't got no immigrants in my family. So everything is blood, sweat, and tears in this soil. That's not divisive looking out for my people and my lineage. Your people look out for their people and their immigrant lineage. So we are not going to take the same kind of criticism that's unfounded. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, you threw a lot of accusations at me right there, so I'm trying to process all that. You're saying I have a dual allegiance, but like I'm at least a third generation on my dad's side, and I'm like at least 8 or 9 generations on my mom's side. So there's no dual allegiance. I'm in favor of mass deportations as well. I think everybody who decided to sit out these ICE protests, I was completely on board with that. There's no reason why we should be out there supporting that. I think this country is for Americans. I think if you came here illegally, you should be sent back home. And I think we should have an immigration moratorium. So I'm with you on that. We should prioritize Americans. And Black people have got the short end of the stick for the past 400 years. I'm with you on that too. And like I said, the idea of reparations is fine. I was more so when I said about you being divisive, I think all the unnecessary like slander on Africans and Caribbeans, it just is distasteful. That's all I'm saying.
No, no, slander how? How do I slander them? Because if y'all come in trying to roast, I'm going to roast your ass back. So let's stop with that.
I'm
No, no, no. Stop with that. Look, these tethers, they come in trying to roast and they're not funny and they're not really witty. And they do all of this little slick talking behind the scenes and they caca and kiki. And then they come in here and trying to roast with us. And then they lose. They get into roast battles and then they lose. That's what happens. Don't turn around and talk about you being slandered and all that. If you try to roast, we're the masters of that and we're going to light your ass up. And that's a part of our culture. Roasting is a part of foundational Black American culture. We roast each other. You understand? So We
Oh, I know.
we'll roast each other.
I know.
You ain't
Yeah.
roasted. No, no, you ain't above. Everybody's gonna get hit, especially if you come in arrogant and
Yeah.
and your forehead looking janky and your hairline is janky. You giving us
hmm I've gotten it. I've gotten the work before. I understand how it goes.
is. So yeah, it up.
Well,
Yeah.
look, I guess it's just there's a bit of an irony in that,
How
and
so?
a little, and the reason I say that is because, look, I know you're big on this whole Black people or Black Americans are indigenous to this country.
Yeah.
But if you look at the DNA and genetic testing, that's not necessarily the case. I think what like 80 or 90%, and just let me and you can respond in a second. I just want to say this real quick. Sorry, just last time I checked, about 80 or 90% of Black Americans' DNA is from Africa, and the other like 10-20% is like European. So this notion that like Black Americans were like somehow indigenous to America is just not true. I just think that's something that's important to know.
Okay. So were all of the people who
Go ahead, sorry.
okay, so there's a great book by a colleague of mine, a brother named Chase McGee, called The 19 White Men Who Said That Black People Were Native to the US. And he has so many documents, so much proof of all of these European explorers, Balboa, Pizarro, Columbus, all of these people, Nunez, that they would come here, all the indigenous people, all of them, these people look like the same folks in Ethiopia or Africa, or they look Moorish. These are terms for black. They just kept saying it over and over again. Archaeological science digs shown that there were bones here dug up and excavated that were sub-Saharan African.
Really?
There were,
Sub-Saharan African?
yes, yes. Luzia woman down in Brazil, one of the oldest fossils of a human in the Americas. They did a reconstruction. It's a damn black woman. You can look it up, sir. There were black people on this land for thousands of years. Not only that, black people were here before the red Siberian looking Asianoid Native Americans. We were here before them, before they walked.
Well, Tariq, sorry, go ahead.
Again, I can just throw all types of receipts. Go, you can look up paintings of the Ohlone Indians in California. There's paintings of them in the 1800s. They look like African tribes. There were black people on the land. Black people were all over the world. Why wouldn't they? Do you? I'm asking you. Do you think the people in Samoa, dark skin, afros, all in the Pacific Islands, you think black looking people didn't reach North America?
Well, it's infinitely more complicated than that when you look at genetics. So I won't deny it's definitely possible that there could have been people from Africa who found a way to get to the North American continent. But there's two problems with that. The first one is that there might be a small percentage and probably an inconsequential and negligible marginal percentage of FBAs who do have indigenous DNA, but it's a very small percentage. Like I said, most of them genetically have African, predominantly African, and then some European DNA. That's number one. But the second thing I'll say is that it's possible because genetics is weird like that. It's possible for like Chinese or European people to have more genetic flow and admixture with say people who what's the name of this tribe? What's the name of the tribe? It's an Asian tribe, and they're off the coast of Australia, and it's a very small tribe, but they 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 emigrated out of Africa. Well, okay, so when humans left Africa about 70,000 years ago to go to Europe and Asia, they immigrated out. They went to various parts of the Asian and European continent, and then they moved to all these small islands. So even though these people in these Aboriginals who live off the coast of Australia have more phenotypical similarities to like a sub-Saharan African, they actually have more genetic gene flow and admixture with Chinese and with Asians and with Europeans because there's less genetic drift because when people left Africa and then went to the Asian continent, after that they went to these Aboriginal islands. So even though they look completely different, they actually have more genetic similarity. And so it could be the same situation with the people that you're referring to, where,
Yeah, but let me
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
here's the thing. Yeah, that's really trying to pinch a straw because these people phenotypically look black. If down
Yes.
Fiji, these people, they'll tell you their origin, they came from Africa thousands of years ago. They'll tell you that. But they are basically Polynesian to a certain degree. They had an ethnogenesis. That's called an ethnogenesis. Look, foundational Black Americans, we have a lot of European admixture. You understand?
Hmm.
We have Aboriginal admixture. We do have African DNA as well, but we are a new ethnic group. We had a complete ethnogenesis. And the whole notion that we would not have Aboriginal lineage here, and we've been here longer than any damn body, that's impossible. That's ridiculous. Of course we do. Um, those Black Aboriginal people, what happened to them? They didn't just all disappear. You know, they were absorbed and they were just reclassified as Negro in many cases. Some were blended in with the $5 Indian whites, but we're still here. So to say that we don't have any Aboriginal DNA, that would historically and scientifically be incorrect. It would be impossible for us to not have it because we've been here too.
Okay. I mean, y- yeah, I just from the genetic testing that I'm aware of, this is the majority of Black Americans. If I think that's, yeah, the majority of Black Americans predominantly have DNA. I'm talking like upwards of 80-90% from Africa. Then the other 10-20% is European with like
Listen,
some indigenous mixed
the
in.
D
That's my
the
understanding.
DNA tests don't list tribes. They don't list Aboriginal tribes. They don't have markers for them. There's no marker for a Creek Indian. Genetically, there's no such thing as a Creek Indian genetically. Because a Creek Indian was somebody, the Europeans saw a bunch of Native Americans living by a creek and said, hey, you guys are Creek Indians. So genetically, there's something else. But they just got these titles. Most of these Native American tribes, they got their titles and names from Europeans or their experiences with Europeans. There's no such thing as a genetic Seminole. You understand? A Black person, genetically, they can be African, they'll have some African genetics, but the thing is, that doesn't mean that they were not a Seminole because the Seminoles were Black for the most part. And Seminole was just an amalgamation of the word Cimarron, which meant runaway. You understand? So there are no markers for a lot of the Aboriginal tribes that were here. Everybody just kind of got thrown in one big category. And with those DNA tests, they pretty much put everybody in three places. You go to any DNA test, they're going to put you in Asia, Africa, and Europe. All of them. You understand? So those things are so damn vague that that can't really accurately pinpoint what tribe is what. If you go to Fiji and do a DNA test on them, that shit is going to show some African DNA. You understand? Or African, Asian, possibly some European. So going by that, that's not a correct standard to go by when you just end on those DNA tests because they're markers that they just don't have. Um, a lot of the Aboriginal tribes, they were not federally recognized. So it's a whole bunch of things. But go ahead.
Well, so okay, so by that, okay, I'm curious. By that logic, what race would you classify Black Americans as then, if they're if African, European, and as you said, what is it, Asian are the three predominant racial groups?
Hmm.
Like, what would you would classify Black people as Negroid, right?
Yeah,
You classify them as
black,
Negroid. Yeah. So
black.
yeah. But you're saying they're like a unique ethnic group entirely, Black people, Black Americans?
No, 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 we're not from outer space. No,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we're not from outer space, dude. I'm talking because people try to make it more complicated than what it is. We're just like what a Jamaican is. In Jamaica, Jamaicans are their own ethnic group. If you do a DNA test on a Jamaican, it's going to go to Africa and Europe, right?
Probably. Africa, I would assume. If you'd like sample the Jamaican guy's
I
DNA,
just
it would probably
I said it's going to go to Africa and Europe. That's what.
not Europe. I doubt Europe.
No, but
I doubt it.
they mixed in with the Irish. Yeah, they did. They were big. That's what the Jamaican accent is, an Irish accent. Irish real heavy. So yeah, it'll be some Irish stuff clicking in. But they're their own ethnic group based on their experiences on that island. Haitians are their own ethnic group. They're going to be traced back to Africa and France if you do some DNA testing on some Haitians.
Okay, but okay, let's just be real here for a second. If you take a random Jamaican guy's DNA and you sample it, it's gonna be like pretty similar to like a sub-Saharan African. It's not gonna give you like an Irish guy's like the average Irish guy's DNA. They're gonna have different alleles. They're gonna have a different genotype, like completely different. So I would say it would probably map back to sub-Saharan Africa almost 100%.
Yeah, I didn't deny that. You say now, yes, it's going to go to Africa, but it will probably have Irish in there too. You think some of them Irish weren't getting down with the Jamaicans and some of those slave owners weren't raping the women over there? Huh?
They probably were. Almost certainly they were.
Yeah, 100%. There's one guy named
Hmm.
Thistlewood who did a whole diary of his rapes. He just raped hundreds of women and made a diary about it called Thomas Thistlewood. He was a big slave owner over there in Jamaica. So yeah, you're gonna have some European DNA there, just like us. We as foundational Black Americans, we will have some European DNA. We're still foundational Black Americans. We're still our own ethnic group. You understand?
Okay, and that's another thing I wanted to ask you. So the about foundational Black Americans. So um, a lot of people, well, you specifically, you say things along the lines of like Black people built this country.
Hmm.
When you say that, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, that means we literally built the initial infrastructure and the culture and the economy was built off the shoulders of foundational Black Americans. That's either true or it's not.
That's like 80 to 90% true. There's a little bit that's I contend with there.
Hmm.
I would say black people were like the biggest source of labor. They were undeniably the labor supply. Because to my understanding, Native Americans didn't have the capacity to withstand, slavery and harsh
The
conditions.
red one,
Um,
red ones,
yes, them specifically. Um,
but they did.
but
But slow down, because if you look at some of the documents and some of the laws and some of the slave charters or whatever, they absolutely had Indians enslaved. They would say it. They would have some of the laws. You can enslave Negroes, Indians, Moors, and they would have this person was sold to that person was a negro, that person was an Indian. So they were very specific. So there were quote Indians being sold, but it was the black aboriginal ones, not the red ones. But go ahead, the red ones cut deals with the Europeans. There was a law 1700s where the Creek Indians made some kind of deal where they would kind of they
it was the five civilized tribes that struck deals with them, I think.
yeah, but this one particular law, the Creeks would some of the Creeks would work as slave catchers if they abide by this little treaty that they had with the US government. They'll be protected to a certain degree as long as they turn in black people who are runaways, so or black indigenous people. So but go ahead about your
Well,
building of the United States
yeah,
we're talking about.
yeah. So I would say, black people undeniably were the major labor supply, but I think it's a bit disingenuous to say that black people built this country. I think that's more complicated than that.
Explain how so.
I would say overwhelmingly, this country in many regards was kind of an offshoot of, Europe and European civilization. And black people have their own unique contributions to this country, undeniably. But I think like the majority the majority of its architecture and its contours come from Europe. I think that's a fair statement to make.
Really?
Yeah, I would say so. Just if you look at the ideals of this country, the governmental body of this country with a democracy, These things were undeniably created or at least popularized in European societies.
That's absolutely false. That's
Democracy? I thought democracy was Greece.
no, no. Well, they had democracy in Kemet.
People are saying I'm not half FBA. That's funny.
Yeah, yeah. There was democracy in Kemet. They had democracy there, but and also Greek society that broke down thousands of years ago. Europe, it fell into all types of chaos and debauchery. Um, didn't really have anything going on popping like that. Really before the slave trade got off the ground like that.
Really?
Yeah, Europe was a shithole.
Are you
Really,
sure about that?
I'm positive. What was going on in Europe
I mean,
in hundreds?
in the
The
third.
only I'm talking the 1500. We're talking about slavery. We're talking about slavery. We're talking about the building of the United States. And the United States didn't start getting it popping and really getting on its legs till 1619. That's why they bring up 1619. That was when slavery really got solidified here with black people. That's when it got really solidified. There was slavery before with the Spanish and all of that. It was a little different. And there were black people here documented who came with the Spanish, who came with other people. And there were Europeans who tried to start colonies here on their own and all failed. So this is why I'm saying you show me where they were doing all this stuff without foundational black Americans. You show me what they built over here before 1619.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna make sure I'm being specific with my language. And by the way, I got a bunch of people flooding me right now, mentioning me, saying that, well, let me not get distracted with that.
Right.
I I don't disagree, like I said, and by the way, I don't want to offend or disrespect
No,
anyone. I'm
no,
just, you know,
just
I'm
because yeah, the apologizing now that don't mean nothing. Just we talking. Just go ahead. Just
yeah, okay, yeah. Well, I agree with you. Like 60, obviously, like I don't want to deny that Black people had a major contribution to this country, and anybody who says otherwise is just racist or dishonest. But like, I guess like framing it in the terms of, you know, we built the country. I just that framing to me, I disagree with. Now,
okay, either okay, stop. Okay, if you stop, if you say you disagree with it, you're going to have to bring some scholarship. I'm bringing scholarship. I'm saying we built the country. I'm saying this would not be a prosperous country without us, based on the facts, based on the results. I'm saying before 1619, the Europeans failed. So you can't say that we contribute to the greatness and the building of this country. Who else did it? The Europeans didn't do it without us. If they could do it, why didn't they do it themselves? And Europe wasn't shit at the time. It was nothing going on in Europe. Six,
really, no, that's not true. That's just false.
the
That's
six,
it.
sorry, the 1600s. These people were getting
Rome, Greece, the British Empire.
the British Empire. The British Empire wasn't the British Empire yet. Rome and Greece had been failed. That fell in the 6th century or the 4th century, something like that. Yeah, the
Well, they
fall
lasted thousands of years.
that was hundreds of years ago. Damn it,
Rome?
Rome fell by the Vandals and the Visigoths. They sacked Rome, and then Europe fell into a damn dark age. Half the people in Europe died off.
Yeah, there was the Black Plague, but I'm saying civilizationally speaking, they were competent. They did succeed, and that we still see that. Like
No, sir, no, you're not going to sit here and act like that whole period of the Dark Ages didn't exist. If they were so successful, why did they sit up there starving and dying all that time? And it was black people who got them out of that. It was the Moors who had to save them from that. Huh?
I have never heard of that before in my life.
You ain't never heard?
The Moors saved Europe.
Yes.
I have never heard of that in
Never
my life.
heard the term thank heaven for 7-Eleven?
No, I've never heard
That,
that. This is the
you know what
first.
that means?
Didn't they go to Spain?
Yeah. But the technology from Spain, from the Moors, that spread all over Europe. That's why Spain was the only country, that was the first country to leave Europe and go explore the world because of the technology from the Moors. All of the universities that were in Europe initially were the big universities were in Spain. during the medieval times. That's what people were going to learn. That was a Moorish stronghold. There's black folks over there running.
Well, I can't. We're kind of straying away. We're kind of straying away to like
But you,
Spain.
but,
I wanted to focus more so on America because I'm not too familiar with
but,
European history. I'll be honest.
but you didn't know that. You didn't know that the Europeans damn near died off.
No, I knew that. I knew like half their population died during the Black Plague.
Yeah, even before that, even before the Black Plague, they had the Justinian plague.
That I wasn't familiar with.
Right, which damn near wiped everybody out. And the reason why they were able to get healed, the Moors came in 711. The Justinian plague officially ended around 725. So the Moors came in with medicines, alcohol, science, technology. They literally saved Europe.
Okay, okay, hold on. I need to make sure that's accurate because I've never heard that.
Hmm? Yeah, start
I'm not
Googling.
saying it's false. Sorry, I'm
I
just
know it ain't false.
checking.
Google. Yeah, start Googling.
This is fascinating. I've never heard this.
Yeah, yeah, they were dying off up there, and they would have.
It's saying it's partially true.
Oh, yeah, yeah, they'll give up. They'll give it up a little bit. It's true. It's 100% true. It's not partially true. Europe wasn't shit, but in the
Well,
more,
are the Moors considered black? I thought the
yeah,
Moors were
no,
I thought the
no,
Moors were like a mixture of
n-
uh,
more literally means black. It
I
literally
thought
means
Moor meant Muslim.
no, because you had Christian Moors. You had um um why am I drawing a blank? You had Saint Maurice, who was a Christian. There's a statue of him in Germany. Look up Saint Maurice.
Well, look, Tariq, I'll be honest with you. I'm
No,
very
no, no,
skeptical
no.
of your history because your history
Okay,
is
okay. Are you
is
okay,
selective.
no? Okay. Are you? I know you're googling right now. Google Saint Maurice of Germany.
Of Germany?
Yep, Saint Maurice,
Okay.
and tell me what you see.
Yeah, he
It's
was black, obviously.
uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
He was a Christian Moor. He was a martyr for Christianity, and they revere him in Germany. They got a bunch of statues of him in Germany. There was a lot of them. Moor means black. Whenever they talked about Moors historically, they were talking about black people. There were Moors who happened to be Muslims because Moors were practicing Islam. But yeah, the Moors were generally black people based on all the descriptions, based on all of the paintings and everything else. And it was black Moors who were saving the Europeans. And when the Spanish came over, they brought some of those black Moors with them. They brought over Moors like Juan Garrido, who was a black Moor who was down in Mexico, who was the first person to cultivate wheat down in Mexico, and he built one of the first churches down there, the Church of San Hipólito. You had bringing Moors to Canada. Um, Mateo da Costa was one of the Moors that they brought over there. These Moors, for some reason, knew the languages here. When they brought when the Spanish came here, they had a man named Estevanico the Moor in North America. He was really the first foreigner to trek through what we now know as North America. That's what I
Okay, that I have not heard. That I have never heard in my life.
You never heard about Estevanico?
No, I've never heard of that person.
Google Estevanico the Moor. Google it. We're doing a learning session now. See, you're learning a lot right now. Google Estevanico the Moor, and then
Okay.
says about him. Then read out loud.
Stephen Nico. Uh,
Estevanico.
oh,
Este-
Estevanico. Nico.
yeah.
Oh, there, here they are.
Okay. What does it say?
Um, Let me see. What is he famous for? The first African to traverse Texas,
Hmm.
and in the company of three Spaniards, re-entered Texas from Mexico. Okay, so he was one of the earliest, I guess, African travelers to reach the North American continent. But are you sure he was African or black? Because they're saying it's Spanish. He's Spanish.
No, but he was
Oh, he was
this.
more.
He was a Moor.
He was
He was.
more.
There were a lot of Moors who were black in Spain. So a lot of folks come over and they'll say that they're Spanish, but they were really black.
Interesting.
They had a Spanish nationality. See, this is what I'm saying. Nationality and DNA and all of that is different. They'll say somebody is Spanish on paper, but the thing is, they have African DNA. They have black DNA. Just over there in the Dominican Republic, they have a whole bunch of people who were buried with Christopher Columbus, and they did an excavation on them. A lot of the people with Columbus who came over with him, they had African DNA.
You gotta admit, like it's just it's hard for me not to be reflexively skeptical because I've never heard any of this. But I
Yeah,
guess that's, the American education
yeah.
system. But
Well,
like,
I'm giving you names. I'm having you look it up in real time to
yeah.
verify. I'm not just whistling Dixie. I can give you the scholarship. You see.
Well, look, let's go back to this because this is the
Now,
crux of.
right now, let's go back to the building of the United States.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's not us being hyperbolic. No, we built the United States. It wasn't white daddy. All right. They
Well,
failed.
I mean,
They failed.
yeah.
They could not have done it on their own. When they tried to start a colony in Roanoke, they failed. You understand?
Hmm.
When they tried, the Spanish tried to start a colony over there in South Carolina, they failed. They repeatedly, the French, the Spanish, and the English, they tried to set up something down in St. Augustine. They repeatedly failed over and over again down there to the point of cannibalism. In Virginia, in the early Jamestown colony, they were failing there. They were cannibalizing each other. They're about to die off. In 1619, when Black people got introduced to those colonies and they started to have indentured servants and slavery, then shit started to pick up. They didn't do anything without Black people. They didn't get any stronghold or any foothold in this country without Black people. We've
Oh,
always been the secret sauce.
okay, but you gotta. Well, okay, hold on. But the vast majority of the inventors, the people who built the infrastructure, the people who developed the financial institutions, the banks, the most of the commerce and businesses and all that stuff, people who established most of the big important trade routes, like that was all, let's be real, all of that was created by whites, if we're
The
just being
first
real.
commodity on Wall Street was slaves.
Right.
Okay, fair enough.
The
But
first
beyond,
commodity on Wall Street was slaves. That's the
okay,
first
look,
commodity that was on Wall Street.
I'm not trying to deny any of that. I'm just saying the I really want to be respectful here. I don't want to disrespect you guys, but I'm just saying, like, it's a historical record. It's a historical matter of fact that most of the institutions in this country were created almost exclusively by white Europeans.
No,
Like
they
that's
were,
just a fact.
listen to what you got to word it right. It was exploited by whites. It was exploited by the white supremacists.
The
Yes,
financial institution,
yeah, these institutions were created from our labor. Everything was based on exploiting our labor, our talent, and our ingenuity. Everything was all about exploiting us. So we had to be there. It's just like a music artist. It's like if you get a music manager, you get like Jerry Heller, for example. I use Jerry Heller. You familiar with who he is?
no.
Okay, Jerry Heller, he was the manager of the group NWA. Jerry Heller made a lot of
Isn't
money.
he Jewish? Isn't he Jewish?
Yeah, he's Jewish.
Oh,
So what's
Well, okay, that's a bit different.
why is that different?
Well, because Jewish people and white people kind of have divergent interests, divergent identities. They're not really, it's hard to classify them as being the same. They're different.
Not really.
A Jewish person would not call themselves white at
You
all. Have you not seen all the photos of Jewish people flicking off the Arch of Titus in Rome? Like that's
yeah,
not something white people would do.
have you seen all the Jewish people who are classified as white?
I mean, don't they have a different genetic kind of like,
Aren't they but why do they classify themselves as white?
well, I think there's obvious reasons for that. It helps them take advantage of white supremacy.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody who's light enough to be classified as white wants that deal. They want to be a part of that exploitive deal. So that's a distinction without a difference. According to their religious background, that don't mean anything. So why would you even bring that
Well, because it's very different. It's
up?
very different.
Not the victims of white supremacy?
Well, hold on. Because you have to understand, Jewish people are diasporic. Okay, white
That,
people come
that,
from individual countries. Sorry,
that
go
only
ahead.
matters to people in the dominant white society. That doesn't matter to victims of white supremacy. That's an and that's like
True.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Just like two slave owners fighting each other.
True.
Doesn't slave me. I don't care. I don't care what y'all have. That's so inconsequential to us. You understand?
I
So
do. I get you.
y'all stop that. That's a waste of time. You had Jewish slave owners, Anglo slave owners,
Hmm.
Jewish Confederates, Anglo Confederates. They were all working together to subjugate me. So yeah, pointing out the differences, I don't care. But back to what I was saying, I'm using the analogy of Jerry Heller. Jerry Heller was the manager of NWA. He made a lot of money. At the time, NWA was being exploited. Ice Cube and those guys, Ice Cube left the group because he wasn't getting no money. Easy was getting exploited. Dre left because he wasn't getting any money, didn't have any money. DOC, he left, he wasn't getting the right money. So the thing is, you can't say that Jerry Heller was the mastermind of everything. No, he just exploited the talent of the foundationals and exploited it for his own gain. So do you give him credit or do you give credit to the people with the talent?
No, in that instance, I absolutely would not give Jerry Heller credit. All of the credit would obviously go to the artist. And that's the thing, like black people did create hip hop. They popularized hip hop, which is like probably one of the most lucrative cultural developments ever, or at least in modern history. That's like an indisputable fact.
Right.
And
But
and
then and going back and just going back, listen, to build a nation, because we are the foundation of this nation. And to build a nation, you have to
that's
have
where I disagree with you. That's where I disagree when you say
okay,
that because it's not true.
okay, prove it a lie.
Well, well, I
Else?
mean, who created the telephone? Who created the light bulb? Who created the airplane? Who created the assembly line, electric power grids, personal computers? Like
Oh,
most of the important 21st century
oh,
inventions that we have today were, sorry, go ahead, I'm cutting you off.
okay. Don't know. Let's break down everything you just said. Let's break down every invention you just said.
Sure.
Who invented the telephone?
Alexander Graham Bell.
Google who did the blueprints for Alexander Graham Bell.
Is it going to be a black guy?
Yeah, Lewis Latimer.
So you're saying he was the brains behind the telephone?
If he did the blueprints, if
Okay.
he did the blueprints and made the patents, so he must have been instrumental. You say the light.
Who?
Who invented the light bulb? Was Thomas Edison?
Thomas Edison.
I got it from Lewis Latimer. That's another same black guy.
Okay, hold on. Let me check this because
Yeah,
you're gonna
Lewis.
blow my mind if it's true.
Yeah, Lewis Latimer. He was the one who really came up with the filament that made the light bulb functional. That's Lewis Latimer.
I have never heard of this gentleman. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, it's saying it was primarily created by Alexander Graham Bell and Thomas A. Watson. Let,
Hmm.
let me see, but it doesn't say Lewis Latimer. Let me see Lewis Latimer. Uh, I'll just look up Lewis Latimer contributions to the telephone.
Yeah. Yep. Look that up. Yep. Yeah. He did the blueprints and the patent.
Well, it says he didn't invent it, but
Yeah,
his work.
they always do that. They're not going to give us full credit. Yeah, that's what they do. We do things. There's a lot of stuff that we invented and contributed to, but they don't give us full credit. Just like with rock and roll and music, they don't in country, we 100% created country. They don't give us credit for that, and they know we created it.
Well, why would you have me look it up then if you know they're not going to give credit?
But some people do. If you
Okay,
look
fair enough.
at the right sources, some people will tell the truth. And in some cases, they would tell the truth back in the day because they wanted authentic products and they knew that Black people had the authentic products, just like the whole term, the real McCoy. That means the real deal. You know where that term comes from?
I do not.
It comes from a Black man named Elijah McCoy. He had a mechanism for machinery that was so thorough, it was a lubricating mechanism that he invented that other people tried to simulate and make bootleg copies of, and people was like, "No, we don't want this bootleg shit. We want the real McCoy," meaning we want the shit that the black man made.
Look, here's what I'll say, and we can go down these inventions one by one if you want, but I'll
Yeah.
just say this. I feel like you can talk about Black culture and you can talk about how important it was and in the foundation of this country, because it absolutely was, without revising history. Like I know in one of your documentaries you said black people created the piano. That's just like not true. Like they did not. And like I feel like if you're going to be a scholar, you have to give accurate history. Is that fair?
Well, the thing is, there were versions of the piano in Africa. Like they had like a little finger piano. That's either true or it's not true. Is that true? Look, you want to Google that?
Who built the piano?
Yeah, they had versions of the piano in Africa,
Okay, hold on.
and the piano is basically a harp turned sideways.
Okay, but it's not the same thing. It's like having some spin off of it is not the same as like the fully assembled thing. Can we
Yeah,
admit that that's the case?
it kind of is.
Like if you build something that approximates the piano, but it's not the piano, it's not technically a piano.
Yeah, yeah, kind of it is. It's the same. It's the same mechanism. A piano basically is a harp. That's all it is. If you look at a piano, you open up a piano, it's a harp inside of it. And they just laid it to the side and then you just hit it with keys instead of playing it with your fingers. Huh?
Okay, I mean, mm,
I mean,
it's not what we would associate with the piano, is all I'm saying. Well, you know what a piano is when you see one, and I just think it's not. You can't have like some half assembled piano and call it a piano. That's all I'm saying.
but it would not be a piano without the harp. All right, so we just got to put it all in context. And our brother Kaba broke it down in the film Hidden Colors. Um, in Africa, they had like a finger piano, like a little instrument that you play with your fingers like a piano. So there were versions of it. So it would not be what it is if it were not for black people. So that's not reaching. The person who is credited, Christofori, with making the keyboard like piano, he would not have been able to do that if it were not for the inventions of the harp and other things by black people. And the Moors brought that stuff in. They brought that into Europe.
Interesting. Okay, well, I'll have to look more into that because, to my understanding, the piano was created, uh, at least to my understanding, in Italy,
Right.
or by an Italian person. But I just want to say this
Also,
because,
and again, with the in a lot the stuff coming out of Italy at that time, this is stuff that was influenced by the Moors. So that's what that is.
in Italy,
Yes. Yeah.
okay, see, this is the thing. You can't just say, see, this is the problem. You can't just make things up as you go.
What
You can't.
did I make up?
Well, well, now you're saying that somehow the Moors are responsible for the inventions that came out of Italy. It's like, where is this? Like, this is.
Yes, a lot of things that came out of Italy, the more because the Moors were in Italy too.
So now it's going to get to a thing where I have to like go down every invention that the Moors came up with, and it's like,
But the thing is, look, when you look at parts of Europe where they have all of this innovation and the Renaissance and all of that, why are they getting it where the wars are? Anywhere where the Moors are, all of a sudden these Europeans are getting enlightened.
is really
Yeah.
okay. Give me one example, because yeah,
Um, all of the inventions.
because this is something you hear a lot, that they made the Enlightenment based on Islam or based on Muslims.
Yeah, the Renaissance was basically they were getting information from the Moors. They were getting a lot of knowledge from the Moors. The Moors were bringing in a whole bunch of knowledge, innovations, scholarship, and that's where the Europeans were getting it from. And after the Reconquista, after they kicked the Moors out, they kept the knowledge. Yeah, y'all get y'all black asses out.
That I know about, that I've heard of.
Right. Y'all get the hell out of here, but we're gonna keep the scholarship you have. And they took the scholarship underground and start teaching it as a form of Masonic rites and all of that to keep it secret. That's why when they have these Masonic organizations, they wear shit like fezzes, like Moors, and stuff like that. Huh?
I see. Well, I mean, I'll have to look into that. But the fundamental thesis that I kind of wanted to outline here is that, look, at the end of the day, when you look at this country, and because that's what we were initially talking about, and I brought up all those inventions, it is true to say that white Americans are largely, if not, uh, m- m- mostly responsible for the fruits that this country has bared. At least like
What are the fruits?
technologically speaking.
What
Technologically
what are
speaking.
the fruits? What are the technology?
Well, like I said, the power grid, the personal computer, the automobiles, airplanes,
Okay.
um, software, things like that.
No, that what you're saying ain't even true.
It is. It's all true.
Not true.
Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs.
Dude, it was a brother, a black man named Mark Dean was the one who came up with the computer chip that everybody's using. Google that.
Okay, so, but no, 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 because now you're going to say one individual black person contributed one individual thing.
But you
That's not the same.
can't talk about all the technological advances and then ignore the black people who brought some of those advances too. Come on now, you can't do that. You can't talk about the automobile and then ignore the Patterson Car Company. That was a car company that was in the early 1900s, little bit before or right around the time as Henry Ford, and they were making higher quality cars than Henry Ford. The Wright brothers, they got their airplane, the patent for their plane after a black man got his patent for his aircraft in the early 1900s. Henry Ford was working with our good brother George Washington Carver. That was his right hand man giving him all of the game. So come on now, we've always had a footprint in this stuff. Everything you name, I can show you the black person who was right there. That's either
That
true or is not
so
true.
well, hold on. You said there was somebody who helped the Wright brothers
No,
that had a patent for an airplane before them.
yeah, there was they didn't help the Wright brothers. There was a foundational Black American man who got a patent for an aircraft before the Wright brothers.
Okay, for an aircraft. Now you're saying an aircraft.
Yeah, it wasn't the same as the plane, as the Wright brothers. It wasn't the same thing, but it was a different type of aircraft that was somewhat similar. And he was going to take that aircraft to the St. Louis World's Fair, the World's Fair. They ended up somebody stole the shit from him because they didn't want him bringing it there. But he got his patented before the Wright brothers. So we are very innovative. We were doing a lot of phenomenal things. So you can't sit up and say that, yeah, it's just the white people who created all the fruits of everything. No, a lot of stuff was
Well,
coming from foundational Black Americans.
well, it says neither of them had a patent for a heavier than air flying machine before the Wright brothers. So apparently there's like some caveat to what you're saying. It's
I don't know what you're reading, but yeah, I'm just telling you, there was a black man who had a patent for an aircraft that he created. And he got his patent before the Wright brothers, and they sabotaged him. The people sabotaged him, which happened a lot. That's another thing. We create stuff and we try to innovate. We get our stuff stolen and we get sabotaged, but we still keeping on. You talk about Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison repeatedly tried to steal inventions from a foundational Black American man named Granville T. Woods. In fact, he kept having to go to court with this brother trying to steal his stuff. Look that up. Granville T. Woods. I can bring the scholarship and I can give you names to verify everything that I'm saying, sir.
yeah, I'm gonna have to read like a book that has like a collection of all the Black American inventors because yeah, I'm not familiar with this. I'll be honest with you. You're probably a lot more experienced and well read on this stuff than I am. So, you um, that's that. But I
But
do want to ask you.
don't
Sorry, go ahead.
if you don't know, don't dismiss things that are brought to the table by Black people if you don't know. So you keep saying you don't know, I don't know, I don't know. But the thing is, whenever I say a black person did this, oh God, that's not true. Oh, you're so quick to definitively dismiss it without having the scholarship. Nikki the God, hop on, Nikki. Let me,
Um, good morning, good early morning, and happy birthday, Tariq. You are so brilliant. You said everything that I was just about to say. I came up here to ask this guy how he feels about, since he accused you of revising history, how he feels about slave owners revising history to steal inventions from slaves, like the steam propeller, and then you have the cotton gin. We feel like those were stolen from slaves, but I came up here to ask him how he feels about slave owners revising history by stealing from slaves. Also, I wanted to remind everybody to donate to the Hidden History Museum and celebrate for the full month of July for Tariq's birthday by donating to the Hidden History Museum. That's all. Thank you very much.
th-
Bye.
thank you.
Wait, so she's asking me how I feel about slave owners taking inventions from slaves?
Yes.
Oh, I mean that's obviously inexcusable. I mean, there's no way of defending that, obviously. I mean that's kind of par for the course in America. It's kind of to be expected. So I'm not surprised by it.
Right.
But yeah, it's indefensible.
Right. And
Um,
by the way, the name of the brother who created that aircraft, his name is Charles Frederick Page. Charles Frederick.
Charles
Yeah. Charles Frederick.
Charles Frederick Page.
He got the patent for his aircraft 1906, something like that, before the Wright brothers.
Yeah, I'll have to look into all this.
Yes,
Obviously. I,
yes. But yeah,
well,
but this is the look, we as foundational Black Americans, we are the foundation of this country. You seem to have an issue with that. Why do you have an issue with that statement in particular?
I just think like the statement itself is it. Look, I guess like fundamentally my issue with your campaign in general is
Campaign?
um
What am I
well would you would your movement, the FBA movement, the
what's
FBA.
what's the movement? Where's it going to move to? What's
What is what is hashtag FBA? What is that? It's just like an identity
that's a lineage.
or a lineage, okay? But you've created a move, you've amassed a movement, right? Like there's Pan-Africanism, there's Garveyism, there's Black nationalism, right? There's differences. There's
No,
different.
well, now was Pan-Africanism is an idea. You
That's
understand?
an ideology. It's a political ideology.
Right. Being a foundational Black American, that's a lineage. That's not
But
an
yeah, on code, yeah, that's a part of the movement. Being on code,
no,
right? So,
no. Just your lineage is your lineage, not a movement. It's just your lineage. That's definitive. That's locked in. That
Tariq, when people talk about the FBA on Twitter, they're not talking about Black Americans they're talking about the FBI identity. They're talking about what the movement represents.
no, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not. I don't know what you talk. I'm lost now. What's that?
When people go on Twitter and they talk about how FBA is divisive, they're not talking about Black Americans being divisive. They're talking about the FBA movement itself.
What FBA movement? There is no movement. There's a
So,
lineage.
what are they referring to then when they say that?
Lineage. They're talking about the 43 million people who are of the foundational Black American lineage. That's all it is. There's nothing else for FBA.
Okay, well they're in that context. They're referring to it as a movement, as a collective identity, as a yeah. That's what they're referring to it as when they critique it.
No, they're not, because there is nothing else that represents foundational Black Americans except 43 million plus Black people who are non-immigrants. So they can't talk. They literally can't be talking about anything else. Now they can pretend. They can do like what the white supremacists do. They'll sit up here and talk about, well, I hate Black Lives Matter as a code for Black people, and they'll pretend that they're talking about some damn organization that don't exist when they're really talking about Black people. Same thing. When
Hmm.
somebody says something about foundational Black Americans, they're not talking about some movement. They're talking about 43 million people. They can sit here and pretend they're talking about some make believe group that they didn't created in their minds. But that's a proxy. That's for them. They just don't want to seem like the xenophobes that they are, that they have an issue with foundational Black Americans as a lineage, which a lot of people do. So anytime somebody's critical of foundational Black Americans, they're critical of 43 million people.
Okay, Tariq, there was a guy who posted a video on you on YouTube the other day. It's like an hour and a half long. I
Don't
think
care.
the guy's
Don't care.
well.
Don't
Okay, fine. I
don't.
won't. I won't mention it.
And,
But
and I didn't watch it, and I heard, but it's that's and what I'm hearing it's like some FBI type propaganda,
uh,
which is
I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. I don't
most
know.
likely it is, and I'm used to.
Well, everything is not the FBI. Everything's
But
not the FBI
ain't
either.
somebody hate neither. All right. If somebody's producing documentaries about you, trying to discredit you, that's COINTELPRO 101. And
Why would any I what I don't why would anybody you play perfectly into the hands of this country's identity? Why would the FBI have an issue with you? You're not a radical. You're
I'm
not.
I'm not
You're not a radical. You're not like a threat to the system.
but the thing is, I kind of am.
You're a rich guy who lives
Sir,
a luxurious life.
sir, if they're producing documentaries about me trying to discredit me, I'm a threat somewhere.
So
I'm a threat somewhere. If
it's a random guy
not
on
a ra-
YouTube.
oh, it's not no, it's not a random guy. It's not no random. Oh, ain't no random haters don't sit up and produce damn documentaries on people. It takes time and money to do that. And there's dozens of people who do little documentaries and shit about me on YouTube all the time.
It's a commentary channel.
Oh, no, 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 no. There's also political operatives who attack me all the time. I'm not if I wasn't a threat, they wouldn't have me on their brains so much. You have whole sock puppet accounts designed to try to discredit me. You have all these political operatives, they have meetings about me at these think tanks all the time. I'm banned from the UK. They won't even let me over there. You don't ban people who's not a threat somehow. Yeah?
That probably has to do with something else. That's not, there's no way that's just for what you say on the internet.
It-
There's no way.
there is what else is there? There is nothing
I
else.
don't know. I don't know your personal history, but I'm just saying I'm just very skeptical of that being the primary reason.
Yeah, that's what else? What other reason would it be?
I, I, I just said I don't know your personal history. Maybe you have a record. I don't know.
I don't. I do not.
So they just won't let you to the UK because they don't like what you say on the internet.
Not just the internet, because I was going over there doing lectures. When I went to the UK, I did sold out lectures over there all the time. So it's the influence. That's the thing. I'm a very influential person.
Yes, I agree. I agree. That's true.
You see,
That's
look,
true.
you see the numbers now, right now? Can you look at the numbers in this room now?
Yeah, 1.7K, that's a lot.
That's a lot. And what's the middle of the night? You understand? I do these numbers every day. Most people, I'm the pretty much the only person who do these numbers every day.
Well, look, here's what I'll say. I say you're Black American, you're a hardcore nationalist, you're a nativist, you're
No, I
anti-immigration. So
don't know what
like that plays perfectly into this country's cultural traditions.
right.
You're not like a militant radical Marxist. You're like a Black nationalist.
I don't even know what that is. So I'm not that. I'm just a foundational Black American. I come from a lineage of the people who built this country from scratch. That's it.
Look, maybe me labeling you is unfair, but that's the
Right.
best way I would describe it.
Yeah, those are kind of COINTELPRO terms. I don't.
That's not okay, my bad. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
those are COINTELPRO terms. Those are the words that they use for people that they want to control. They got to kind of put them in a box and call them a nationalist. Not a nationalist. I'm a foundational Black
Well,
American.
there's nothing wrong with being a nationalist. I'm a nationalist, but okay. I don't use it as like a slur.
No, no, I'm not a Black national. I got respect for my lineage in this country. So I'm patriotic to the lineage. What's wrong with that?
Okay, you're a nationalist then. You're some kind of nationalist.
I'm a patriot for foundational Black Americans. What's wrong with that?
Well, nothing, but I'm saying there's just no reason, like, there's no reason why some guy like who's an FBI cutout would make a YouTube video about you. Like
Why
that
would
doesn't strike me.
why wouldn't they?
What's his motive? What's his incentive? There's no
Why
incentive.
hey, yeah,
There's no motive.
what you mean there's no motive? Yeah, the COINTELPRO program was to
Everybody's not a Fed, man.
yeah, but everybody ain't ain't a hater either. All right,
Right.
let's be
Some people just disagree with you. Like that's literally some people could just disagree with you.
there's the difference between disagreeing and just putting out a bunch of lies and propaganda. All right. There's a real big difference between disagreeing and just straight up propaganda meant to try to discredit. All right. And that's COINTELPRO 101. And COINTELPRO is alive and well. I am name
Yeah.
listen, let's be very real, and I'm not being egotistical. 'Cause some
Okay.
talking to somebody about this before. Somebody told me, and I really didn't think about it till a colleague of mine told me. They were like, Tariq, you are probably the most influential Black person in the United States.
Uh, you're up there.
Think about it. And I thought about it. I'm like, damn.
You and Umar are the only two, I guess. There's nobody else.
And in respect to Umar, but Umar is not that influential. No, no disrespect to Umar. Umar is people kind of look at him as more isn't, but as far as creating um just a certain vibe and things like that. And I'm not, and I think Umar is brilliant, even though me and him we got our beefs and all of that stuff. Um, as far as moving the political needle, no, no, for real, somebody with real influence, for real, who threaten the political establishment. Nobody else has that kind of influence but me. And I say that humbly. And that's kind of, I kind of have to own up to it because for a long time, I just kind of try to be the regular guy and all of that. But, you know, I get attacked by the feds all the damn time. They send their sock puppets at me all the time to try to discredit me all the time. We do events. They've had feds and operatives.
I gotta understand the logic behind this. Like, how do you? Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So why wouldn't they attack me?
Well, I mean, you're you're not like a you're. I don't even know how popular of a figure you are. Like, in terms of like outside of the online space. Like they're not showing your face on Fox News, they're not showing your face on CNN or
Oh,
MSNBC. You're like an online
yeah.
figure.
That's not true.
Yeah,
That I've been on Fox a gazillion times. They've done stories on me a lot of times. They've done on me. Yeah. So yeah, you're late to the party, buddy. You're very late to the party. They have discussed me on Fox all the time. I've been on there. I've been on CNN. I've been on. This ain't the internet. I've had rallies where thousands of people showed up. This ain't the internet. The movie Sinners. Ryan, what's the biggest movie in the world?
yeah, the new one that came out.
Ryan Coogler. He was doing interviews, letting people know he's a foundational Black American. Yeah.
Interesting. I've never. Yeah. Okay. All right. Maybe.
Oh,
I mean, look. I just that's my perception of it. Like you're not like a national figure, to my understanding.
yeah, I am. You think I'm not? You think all feds?
Maybe you have more outreach than I thought, but based on your YouTube numbers and based on your Twitter numbers, it doesn't seem that way. It's a couple 100,000.
That's a lot.
That's not millions, though.
Yeah, but yeah, if you got people who are the only people who are black who get millions of views are people who do like goofy shit, like these goofy little streamers. That's a nothing burger. That's not influence. That's just white people want to tune in to see somebody black do something stupid. That doesn't mean nothing. These guys don't really have influence. I'm talking about real influence.
And also, like, you might just be known as the FBA guy. You might not be like, you're not known as like Tariq Nasheed, you know what I mean? Like the figure, that
Sir,
the thought leader.
no, I've been around for a long time. How old are you?
I'm 22.
Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, I've been around for a long time.
Okay.
I've been I've been in the public figure since before you were born, man. Before my best selling, I had a best selling book 25 years ago. An
How to
international,
pimp,
no, The Art of Macking.
the art
The
of
Art of,
macking.
right. Yeah, it wasn't a pimp book. It was a Macking book teaching you how to Mac. That was a huge seller. That book sold all over the world. I've been in the game for a minute, dude. So I raised cats like you. You understand?
Yeah, I understand. I hear you.
Right. But yeah, you ain't been in them circles. You haven't been in them circles. And truth be told, I think you sound like a white dude.
I'm
Be
not. I
honest.
know because I grew up in a white neighborhood. That's why. I get
But
that.
some of the shit to not know, for you to not know some of this stuff, you have the aesthetics of a white man,
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
and
Probably.
not just living in a white neighborhood, living in a white household. I don't give a fuck what neighborhood you live in. Yeah, you live in a white household and not an El Salvadorian. You understand? And this
Well,
is why.
I
This is why.
mean, black and
Yeah,
Hispanic.
yeah. That black side is a little questionable too.
Right. That's what I mean. I don't know how else to. I could prove
Yeah,
it, but it's the truth.
yes, because that would mean you got a black mother,
Yes, I do. That's
right?
exactly right.
And your mother could not be a foundational Black
She is.
American.
She's 100%.
Your mama's a foundational Black American
Yes, 1,000%. Yes.
from the South,
Yes, from Texas. Yes.
from Texas. So when
Yes.
you went out to play, when you would go outside and play, when you were a kid, and you came in the house, your mother said you smell like what?
Outside.
Oh, there you go. All right, you know that. All right. Now you just might have a black mama. Let me get Dan in. Dan, how are you?
He's like telling me I don't have a black
What's
mom. I
going
do.
on, Tariq? How you doing, man? Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you, Dan. How are you, brother?
I'm doing all right, man. Just got through, shout out to the homie Rootwork Jones. Just got through solving the case.
Yes.
Caught another Fed slipping. Um, this young guy, man, he's 22. Okay, that explains a whole lot. But I just got a question for you. Um, I'm not sure what your name is, but do you think that there are political factions inside the FBI and the CIA and the NSA?
I mean, there obviously is. They literally have media stations in the Pentagon for Fox News. They're everywhere. It's a whole
Facts. So
apparatus.
watch this. So during the last election, there were a number of influential foundational Black Americans who told Black people not to support either side if they weren't offering tangibles. Now, the Democratic Party has this thing called benign neglect when they deal with Black people, all this nonsense notion of all inclusiveness, which is even more bullshit. Excuse my language. So when those voices started telling people not to do anything for tangibles, they immediately became a target because that has the ability to affect the election. So it's not necessarily the threat that you're posing now; it's the potential threat that you can actually pose. Take a look at what just happened with Trump and Iran. He literally targeted them not because they were at enrichment levels, but because they could possibly get there. So they like to kill threats before they even get started. So when people say in our community that they're being targeted, there's a huge precedent set by that. You take a look what they did with the Black Panther Party, and considering the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, said that he is not going to give rise to a new Black Messiah. Anybody that looks like they fit that mold, they target, even if that person's agenda isn't political. They had files on Tupac because his music was inspirational.
Hmm.
So they
Mm.
do this all the time. And I don't expect you to understand this because I still don't believe you come from Black culture. But you have little small smear campaigns that they throw out hoping something sticks. And they'll say it so much and hope you forget about it that it's just a nonsense rumor. And then they'll just kind of bring it back. It's a psychology thing. If people keeps hearing the same lie, eventually it becomes truth to the next generation. So they do sabotage us in so many
Yeah.
ways. I highly encourage you to go look at Hidden Colors 1 through 5. Hidden Color 6 is on the way. And get a homie Rootwork Jones a call, man. I can kind of smell you through the screen. Appreciate that, Tariq, man. Enjoy your birthday, man. You have a nice day.
Yes, indeed. Let me get my sister Brooke in here real quick. Let me get my sister Brooke, the lovely Brooke in the building. Miss Brooke, thank you, beloved. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. We have a tradition in my family where we sing badly to each other, but I will spare you, okay? Um, so I just wanted to say, one, the gentleman said that, his mother goes back 8 generations. And I put up a post the other day where and I double checked my ancestry.com just to make sure my lineage goes back on this land 5 generations. And by the time I got to the 5th generation, that was before America was America. So for him to say that he's been on this land for 8 generations and he does not know that there are natives on his land, how could he be on this land for eight
Well, because
generations
I
and
am
not
Native American. My great grandmother was full Choctaw Native American. So that's why I say
But
eight
when we were
generations.
but when we were sitting here talking about how our Native American ancestry, you were questioning it.
Well, I'm saying as far as African Americans who are or Black Americans who are the descendants of slaves are concerned. That's why.
And so, but you're saying that you're half FBA,
Yes.
and you're saying that you have Native American blood in you.
Yes.
So how
Yes.
can you have that and then question everybody else's lineage? See, this is why I question. And again, you said 8 generations. Eight
Probably.
generations is very, very far,
Yes.
and I doubt that you can go back that far. Second of all, the other thing,
I said
I have
probably
to
eight
say-
generations.
the other thing that I have to say is that the way you dismiss Tariq, as he's explaining to you his experience as a foundational Black American in this country, doing the work for our lineage, is the exact reason why we delineate.
Well, he's taking a
Sitting
paycheck from
here,
y'all
he's
too. It's
sitting
not
here
like he's doing it for
telling
free. He's
you,
getting paid.
I'm
What
speaking,
paycheck am
sweetheart.
I getting? What paycheck am I
I'm
getting?
speaking.
Bro, all these GoFundMe's, all these, yeah, you're getting paid. We know about that. You're
What?
getting paid.
No, 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 no. What GoFundMe for Foundation of Black America? What are you talking about?
You had a conference that you hosted. You had the whole thing in Haiti when you went to Haiti and you were, building the infrastructure over there. You
As a
got
person who
all
worked
these.
at the as a person who worked at one of his conferences, he put more money into that conference than he got out of the
I,
whatchamacallit, the GoFundMe. So
I,
when you
So
sit here
Tariq, you're
and
doing
say
all
things,
this for free. That's
you
bullshit.
don't
That's
even
bullshit.
know what you're saying. We had no sponsors. He was the
what,
sponsor.
right. What money did I get for the conference? It was free. And what money did I get for the conference, sir?
Look, all I'm saying is you're not doing this for free. There's a monetary incentive. So
He
No,
has a
no,
tendency
I'm just
of
okay. Look,
saying things,
I'm just
and then when
saying.
he's disproven, you have a tendency of saying things, and when you're disproven, then all of a sudden you want to change the subject. It's very white supremacist of you. I'm suspecting, like I said, it's so many things that you're
Jesus
saying and your
Christ.
behavior. I really question your foundational Black Americanness. I
That's
don't care if
fine.
you know what outside smells like or not.
Fine.
I still don't think that you're a
That's
foundational Black
fine.
American. I think you're a
right.
big
That's
fat
fine.
liar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. Fine.
yeah,
Okay.
right there. Yeah, well, yeah, thank you, Brooke. But
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
thanks. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
yeah. What money did I get from the conference?
Well, I'm saying you're not doing this for free. There's a monetary incentive. It's not like you're doing this out of your own volition.
I pretty much am. I'm not getting no big paycheck from nobody. What are you talking about? Who am I getting a paycheck from? And
I don't know if you're being funny.
now, see, now that's you doing Fed talk. And then you said something about Haiti. What money did I get from Haiti? And what does that have to do with foundational Black Americans? Because you just
Okay.
okay, now yeah, break that down because you see what I'm saying. This is Fed talk when you just say shit and then run from it. You just try to plant the seed of some bullshit and then run. What did I do with Haiti that I got
Oh,
some money from?
well, you went out there, you raised money, and it was with the
What
intention of, well, it was on the GoFundMe. It was a public fund.
for water supplies?
No, in the description it said to build homes. It said
No,
that
it
in
wasn't.
the
No, it wasn't.
yes, it did.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't just to pass out water.
No, it wasn't. I didn't build
Okay,
raise money to.
right.
That's a lie.
Okay, so you're okay. So
That's, and now you lying. Now you sound weird. I didn't raise no money for no houses in Haiti.
so
Where
you're
did
doing.
where did you get that from? Because you got that lie from somebody.
I got that from a video that I
That's
watched about you.
yeah, you got it from that what and I haven't watched that
Yeah,
video.
that one video. Yeah, it was in
So
that
yeah,
video. It was.
you're regurgitating lies from a Fed
It was a
video.
screenshot.
No, it wasn't.
See, this is the thing, and now I'm a
This is
Fed.
what I
You,
show the
it's like Jesus.
slow down. This is what I'm saying. These FBI ass videos say shit, and then weird folks come in and regurgitate some bullshit from these Fed videos. And then when you ask them to bring the proof, then you start trying to change the subject. I never raised money for no houses in Haiti. That's a bald faced lie.
You want me
And
to pull up the screenshot?
pull it up or pull up the link.
Okay. Well, I don't
I,
have a link to it.
I've never raised money for houses in Haiti.
Okay, hold on. Let me find this.
That's Fed. This is Fed 101, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm questioning you for even regurgitating some Fed shit. That's Fed talk right there. Because Bucci used to say the same shit. We know
Jesus.
what that nigga
Okay.
is. Bucci the Fed used to say the exact same thing. When I see people regurgitating Fed talking points, now I'm looking at them funny style. I never
I mean, dude,
raise money.
like everything can't be a Fed. Like everyone can't be a.
Everybody ain't lying for no reason, though. Everybody ain't lying for no reason. You ain't lying just to be lying. Yeah, you lying for a reason. And that's a very specific lie. I never raised money for no houses in Haiti. We had a little GoFundMe for some water supplies when I was going out there filming. I wanted to bring some water supplies, and I did. It was like for $10,000, $15,000 or whatever. But I never raised money for no houses in Haiti. I never did that. And that,
Okay,
and
hold on. Give me a second,
and it
guys.
had nothing to do with foundational Black Americans. So you just saying, why are you just saying shit like that? That have no correlation. What correlation does that have? One lie have with foundational Black Americans?
Okay, we're kind of getting all over the
Yeah,
place. I thought we were talking about
you're the one
Haiti.
getting all over the place. You're the one just telling random lies, and then you can't.
Right.
Don't say we're getting all over the place. You said that bullshit. You said that, and now you can't
Do
back it up. And now you sitting here trying.
well, I'm about to. Do you want me to pull up the
Yeah,
articles?
pull up a link of me raising any money for a house in Haiti.
Okay, so it says, um, this is from County Local News. It's saying,
Who?
well, it says County Local News.
What the hell is that?
I don't know. I've never heard of County
Me
Local
neither.
News.
So what does that say? What does it say? What do I got to do with that? And I got to hear this.
It's it's pretty interesting. It says political naivete and charlatan deception. Beware of charlatans like Tariq Nasheed. Political influence exposed. Hold on, let me pull this up.
Okay, that sounds like more Fed shit. What? That's not no real. What the hell is that?
Well, hold on. Let me scroll through this. Give me a second.
Yeah, you can't even get your bullshit straight. The fact that you got to do all this to disprove your own lie.
Well, I saw it in the video.
Yeah,
There was a screenshot of it. If you see it,
like
then
I
but I can't. It's hard to
like
pull the
yeah, that's
thing up while
Fed
I'm on
shit.
live.
That video is Fed shit. So why are you
Eh,
quoting Fed shit and you can't even back it up?
See, here's the thing, right?
Ain't no
When you
better
frame,
back it up. You say something. You can't sit up and say, "Well, I got it from a video." We've already said the video is on some Fed shit, and now you can't prove anything. You're just saying stuff, sir. So why are you doing that? I'm questioning your motives. I know the motives of whoever made the video. What's your motives for regurgitating Fed shit?
I'll be honest with you. The reason, well, I'm fed shit is crazy, but the reason why I'm critical of you, and like I said, when I came in here, I was giving you
No,
props for.
that's why I wasn't going for it because all that passive aggressive shit. I don't. I could see the hostility already in there.
There's no
Is
hostility.
hostility.
I just disagree with some.
No, disagreeing and lying are two different things. You said I'm getting all this money. And then when I said, okay, what money? You start lying. You said I got this money from a rally for reparations. I didn't make no money off that. I didn't get
Well,
I
I
didn't
said
get no money for no houses in Haiti either. And you've been sitting here babbling and filibustering for the last 10 minutes because you got caught lying. So now the we want to know why you lying now.
well, the primary thing is you're not doing this for free. That's really the
I
main
am.
thesis of this. You're getting paid to
No,
do
I'm not,
this.
and you haven't proved it.
So
Who am
you're
I getting
okay.
paid by?
The people who are donating money to you, the people who are buying your shit, the people who are going to
Been buying my
your museum and all that
been
kind of
buying
stuff.
my shit for 25 years. So what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. You're a businessman. That's what
So
you are
what are you talking
first.
about?
You're a
So what
businessman.
are you talking about? I don't give props to my lineage because I'm getting paid. I've been getting paid because I'm a businessman.
Yeah, exactly. You're a
But
businessman.
no, but you're trying to flip that into saying that I'm on
It's the truth.
about
You are.
lineage.
You profit from this.
No.
So what was your job before this? Because you obviously don't have a job. This is your job. You get paid to do this.
What is this?
You get paid to sell products, make YouTube videos, do interviews, whatever. You're like a public figure. You get paid to talk about shit like this.
And what's wrong with getting paid for
Nothing, nothing. But I'm saying like this notion that you're doing it because like you care about FBA and all that kind of stuff. I feel like that's not the entire picture. It's like there's a profit motive here.
I've already made profit. So what are you talking about?
I've just explained it.
That don't make sense. What you're saying don't make sense.
It doesn't make sense that I think you are doing this largely for the
What?
profit
What
incentive.
am I doing? You keep saying I'm doing this.
You're talking about FBA, you're having these conferences, you're doing these interviews because you're getting notoriety and you're getting money from it.
No, not really.
Okay. So you just happen to live in a mansion because just fell in your lap.
Yeah, I've lived in this house for over 10 years. What does that have to do with our foundational Black American lineage?
So okay, hold on.
Come on, make it make sense.
Dude, how else would you be making money?
I have different businesses. That's how.
Right.
I've
Okay.
always had different businesses.
Okay. Fair enough.
So what
I mean
what
that
am I supposed to do? I have successful
so
businesses. I've always had successful businesses. I've been doing successful business for the last 25 years. I've had best-selling books, multiple best-selling books. I would do best-selling tours, lectures, best-selling movies. So what is this? You're doing this. What? Being successful at business? What's wrong with that, sir?
no, nothing. Nothing. I mean, but you're are the businesses that you made money off of, does that relate to FBA? Does that relate to
No.
selling FBA, you know, documentaries and things like that?
What FBA documentary do I have?
You have Hidden Colors 1 through 5 or 1 through 4 or
Those are
something like
not
that.
FBA documentaries. Those documentaries don't primarily focus on foundational Black Americans.
That was the target demographic, though.
No, there was global Blackness. Those documentaries talked about Black people globally.
Hmm.
This is what I'm saying. You don't know what you're talking about. And one of my documentaries that was successful was about Haiti. It wasn't about foundational Black Americans at all. So what are
I
you?
just I find it hard to believe that you're just some guy who goes around and does interviews and has hosts all these talks every night on
Listen,
Twitter for several hours.
because you're just saying stuff, sir. You keep putting your foot in your mouth. I'm like, what? Yeah, you sound like a fed, man. Damn,
Okay.
you sound like a freaking fed. Dude, Hidden Color was about global Blackness. It wasn't about foundational Black Americans. It was a huge seller. It was successful. 1 through 5, all of them successful. It was about global Black history. 1804, that was about Haiti. It wasn't about foundational Black American culture at all. It was successful. A lot of shit I do is just successful. When I touch something, I can kind of put a little success on it. I kind of have a little spiritual energy that's good like that. I,
Yeah, you're an entertainer for sure.
I did a hip hop documentary that was successful. Huh?
Yeah, no, that's true. You do have that ability,
Tell
obviously.
you something. If I didn't focus on my lineage, I would be even more successful. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you could be like a charismatic
Let me tell you.
mouthpiece
Let me
for someone or
let
something. Yeah,
let me tell you something.
sure.
Before I did Hidden Colors, I had the networks trying to give me a television show. All right. I had several networks trying to give me a television show, and some of the pilots are still floating around 2009, 2010. Because I would do mainstream television. I was on VH1, MTV. MTV gave me a special. I was doing the Tonight Show, Conan. I'm doing mainstream television. These people are trying to give me my own show, like a talk show, because I have what's called a high Q rating. In the entertainment industry, they can test people and see your Q rating. That means how much audiences like you and want to tune in. I have one of those personalities that people like and they want to tune in and watch. Sponsors like that.
What channel?
Oh, it was different networks. I'm telling you,
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
but I've been on different networks, and NBC are working with them. They wanted to give me a show. Many others. That's why I was on Conan. I was on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. All that shit. You can look it up. All this stuff you can look it up.
Yeah.
Several shows with MTV. MTV is throwing money at me. These networks wanted me to do like dating and relationship shows because that was my thing. That was my books. I had a lot of dating and relationship books, so they were huge sellers. So they wanted to give me shows. At the time, instead of doing that, I thought it was more important for my community, the Black community, to get some information about their history because I didn't like what Hollywood was putting out about Black people. Now, I could have been quiet and got all that Hollywood money. I could have been rolling in Hollywood dough. But I said, would rather do something that's going to benefit my community and elevate the community at the same time and do it independently. That's what made me do the Hidden Colors series. That was a labor of love. It just happened to be extremely successful, but I did it
I,
with love. Now, you couldn't say I was doing it for money because I could have got more money anyway. And nobody had ever done anything like Hidden Colors at all. Nothing was done like that. So there was no template to even measure how much money it would make. But I put my passion in it because it was a labor of love and respect that I have for my culture. You understand?
I gotcha. I get you. I hear where you're coming from.
So that shit, doing some shit for money, if that were the case, I'd just do the Hollywood thing. You understand? And I'm a hustler. I can get money. I don't have to do goofy shit just for a dollar. If I do something, I'm going to do it because the spirit is telling me to do it. If I'm successful in the process, well, that's the spirit looking out for me. But I always do things that's going to be integrity based first. You understand that?
Okay.
All right.
I apologize.
All right. There you go. And stop listening to Fed videos. All right. All right.
I got you.
Thank you so much. Let me get you out.
You got it.
All right. Let me get Brother McCall in here. Oh, Brother McCall got down. My bad. Okay. Yeah, yeah. So you got to watch cats like that. But that, I don't even think this dude is FBA. I don't think he's half FBA. I don't even think that. I don't think he's half the FBA. Yeah, he's in here using a lot of Fed talk, all of that. You did this for some money. You getting paid. Dude, if I wanted to get paid, I would have just did a late night show with NBC or some shit. If that were the case. No, 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 no. Sometimes you got to do the right thing. Sometimes you just got to do things that's going to be impactful historically. And that's what I did. And that's what I do. You understand? Come on now. I'm not you, dude. Some of these guys, some of these semi-tethers, they got this cutthroat get over mentality where you got to get over for a buck. No, we don't ain't got to do that. See, a lot of these folks who come from these non-FBA backgrounds, they got that scamming, scheming mindset where they got to do all types of weird shit for a dollar. We ain't that's the great thing about being deeply rooted and grounded in your culture. We ain't got to do all that shit. Sometimes we just want to look out for our folks. Sometimes we just have a love for our people. Dude, we didn't make no money at the rally for reparations. That shit was free and it cost a lot of money to put it on. And flying everybody out, renting out all that equipment and all that shit. We didn't get no money and we didn't get no sponsors and it was free. What money? I just thought it was important for us to get the messaging out there, which it was important. Yeah. Yeah, we raised a little money so I just don't lose money because the first one I paid for all that shit myself. The second one I said, okay, we're gonna have to get a little donation thing. Yeah. Let me get our brother McCall in here. Brother McCall, hop on in. Brother McCall in the building. Brother, oh, having a little. Are you here, McCall? So good, brother. How are you, sir?
Happy birthday to you.
I appreciate that. Yes, sir.
And it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day to be our great brother Tariq Nasheed.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Well, that conversation was a little interesting. I mean, the duplicity and the deception and the subterfuge and the inconsistencies which are typical amongst those types. You know, something you said is one of my favorite quotes, and I mean, it should definitely be, um, you know, plaqued, you know, as a Tariq Nasheed quote. Hating is a broke man's sport.
Mm.
And, you know, and I think we forget that white people like him are haters.
Mm-hmm.
We don't realize how much hating they do.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So that quote, brother. I mean, I think about that quote, and what you said every day to kind of center myself when, I'm dealing with those types of, you know, anti-light folks. So hating is a broke man's sport, and he sound broke. Happy birthday to you, brother.
Thank
Love you.
you so much, man. Much respect. Yes, indeed. Man. Thanks everybody for the birthday love. Much respect. Let me see. Let's get gorgeous. Well, let's get gorgeous in here. Let's get gorgeous. Gorgeous, hop on in. And speaking of donations, everybody can donate to the Hidden History Museum. That'll be a great donation. Gorgeous, what's up, gorgeous?
Hello. How are you? I'm good,
Oh,
thanks. Can you hear me?
yes, I can.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I haven't been listening to you for long, but you remind me so much of Kevin Samuels. May he rest in peace.
Hmm.
Just the way you speak, and also, from your image. I don't even know if that's really you, but you just remind me of him so much, and I just enjoy listening to you. That's all I want to say. Thank
There
you.
you go. Every Samuel, my brother. That was my brother, man. Solid dude. R.I.P. to him. Um, Let me see who else we got in here. Uh, Let me see. Um, I mean, who's this? Arian G. Okay, is this one of these? Okay, let's go. Arian God's Revenge. What's up, Arian G? It's the brother. Arian G, what's up, brother? Arian G.
Yo, what's up, Tariq? Can you hear
I'm
me?
good, man. What's up with you?
I'm doing good, man. Long time no see. My last account got booted, so this is my new one. But I'm back on these white supremacists next. Um, I just want to say, man, before the red pill community even popped up and blew up, because there's a bunch of content creators on there like becoming millionaires. There was a Tariq Nasheed.
Oh,
Like, and this and this was like in 2012, 2011. Like, I was a little kid back then, and it was literally nobody on YouTube telling us about females or how to get females, any of that.
mm-hmm.
But you were the only one on it. So that's how I found out about you. That's how I found out about your books. I bought all of your books. They even came with the plaques saying bestseller. So this guy like saying that, oh, you're using your platform to scam people or this and that. He's just jealous, man.
Right.
Like, you could have became like you're already rich, but you could have gotten even richer just talking about dating and relationships.
Yeah,
So that's just one freaking lame. Like, I don't understand. Like, I wish you hammered down on these people about like the amount of money that you could have made before you branched off into this. So that's all I want to say. I'll land.
much respect. Yeah, man. This is when people start talking about all the money, dude. That's Fed talk when they be talking that shit. You understand? Because see, the thing is, that's why I'm saying it's Fed talk. Because anytime black folks talk about black empowerment, they don't mind you talking that as long as you broke. They don't mind you talking about black empowerment if your ass is in a basement somewhere broke. Talking that woulda, coulda, shoulda shit. They love that. They love some broke Negro with a kufi on talking about building up something in the motherland and all that old shit. No, but when you have somebody who just breaks things down practically and show you, okay, this is what you do in order to do things successfully. This is a business model to use. We ain't got to go to the dominant society. We can create our own media and then make it a profitable entity. And we can do it like this without having some damn middleman scamming us. Let's just go direct to customer and let's get the funds ourselves and get this thing popping on our own, and then it's successful. All of a sudden, you get these people coming in with all that Fed talk. Yeah, well, understand a lot of times people ain't hating just to be hating. There's some Fed effects going on out here. And here's the thing about all that Fed talk and all of the people who do all of the trying to discredit thing, who try to discredit the delineation movement, and then they try to discredit me. It's something called the Streisand effect. See, where suppression creates curiosity. When you have these powerful institutions and operatives trying to discredit a person or a movement or an influence or something like that, that sparks even more public curiosity. So the harder they try to discredit, the more people they want to know what's being hidden. More people are like, okay, why are you trying to discredit this guy? Then the message starts resonating even more. And let me tell you something, persecution confirms legitimacy. You understand? When I'm getting attacked by Fox News and CNN and the Democratic Party and the right wingers and the feds and all of these people, and they're producing these um, elaborate ass documentaries in order to discredit me, that proves how legitimate the shit I'm saying is. I'm saying something right. If they're banning me from whole countries, I'm saying something right. Yeah, that somebody's touching a nerve. We're touching a nerve here. If it wasn't effective, it wouldn't be that much of a coordinated pushback. This shit is it's too coordinated. Yeah, all of this shit ain't random. Where people doing all of these different sock puppet pages and all these documentaries and all of these coordinated attacks, especially around election season. Election season, y'all know how it is up in here, boy. It's Fed Central, Op Central. It's just loaded with ops. That costs money to run them little op pages and all of that. So people ain't hating for free. That validates the delineation movement's message. And that shows that we're fighting for some real power out here. You see? And that these attacks, that reveals who's threatened. When some of these immigration lobbyists and Democrat operatives and um, tethers and all these people, when they come in here trying to undermine the delineation movement, that shows how many people really benefit from foundational Black Americans being politically disorganized. You understand? See, this shows that these hidden alliances, they all rely on foundational Black Americans being silent and subservient. So when we start speaking up for ourselves, all of a sudden you got these weirdos popping up with these weird accusations. And character assassination, that usually backfires. See, when people try to, especially when they try to make me the focal point of the smear campaigns, that backfires because the message of our lineage is not about me anyway. And I'm really unbothered by it. That's why I don't trip on this shit. Y'all can try to attack me all day. The lineage is the damn lineage. The lineage is still the damn lineage. That don't change the lineage. And the attack spotlights the message. When mainstream platforms and the alphabet boys, they try to twist the message and redefine the message, you expose it to a larger audience. These hit pieces backfire. The truth attracts more than propaganda. The truth will attract more than the propaganda. See, a lot of foundational Black Americans, we're waking up because the core message of what we're saying rings true. Lineage based justice, we are not no displaced damn Africans. We're just not letting other people define us no more. That shit is over. We're not letting weirdos come in and tell us who the hell we are. No, y'all 50% Bantu. Y'all displaced Africans. Y'all lost. You don't know who you are. Y'all Akatas. Well, y'all ain't, y'all not gonna define us no more. Damn that. We're telling you what it is. We're foundational Black Americans. Now sit your ass down somewhere. Just like that. You understand? Just like that. We don't want people coming in here trying to redefine us with their damn projections. They like to project their nonsense on us. We're like, no, you're not our representative. You're not our spokesperson. We're doing us and we can represent ourselves. Yeah. And this is not foundational Black American, is not just a delineation movement, it is a classification. It's not like political groups that can be voted out or dismantled. Foundational Black American, that is an identity rooted in lineage, ancestry, and cultural legacy. So trying to attack the delineation movement, that's like trying to erase a bloodline. It can't be undone. The more our lineage is attacked, the more people wear your foundational Black American label with pride, because we know that it's forged in resistance anyway. And the fact that people are giving so much pushback, we doing something right. Yeah. Because opposition, that sharpens the mission. Every wave of backlash, that forces the delineation movement to clarify the goals and redefine the messaging and educate people more deeply. See, when people try to misrepresent our lineage, that prompts the community to respond more with historic data, receipts, and cultural insight. So the responses, they just don't defend. They evolve the delineation movement and really, really wake more people up to respect it. You see? So attacking me and trying to attack our lineage, that shit backfires. That's why I don't have a problem. Y'all can attack all damn day. The lineage is still the lineage. Y'all said Tariq did this. Tariq is a hater. Oh, you got this money. Okay. Nigga, am I still an FBA and you not? All right, there we go. Am I still FBA and you still a tether? Okay, that's all I need to know. Am I still on my homeland and you still fleeing with your flip flops? That's all I need to know. Keep talking. All right. Are you about to get your ass deported? And I'm not. All right, keep talking. Keep talking while you leaving. All right. You see, that's my vibe. What's up? What's your name? Violetta?
Of it's violent.
Violent. Okay. I got bad eyesight. So what's up, Violent? How are you?
I am good, Tariq. Uh, how's it going on your side?
I'm phenomenal, man. And you're a white man from where?
California, actually.
California. But where initially is your family Hispanic? I kind of hear some. You sound like you're chomping on a burrito or something.
Yeah, you. No, no, not Hispanic at all. Actually, Irish and Japanese.
Okay, there you go. There you go. I knew it was something you was in there eating. You in there eating some Panda Express. So what's on your mind?
Uh, well, I just want to ask you: do you think that it's a little hateful to describe entire neighborhoods as tether central?
Like what? What neighborhood is Tether Central?
Well, I tune into your streams a lot, and sometimes you claim that I'm just to preface this, I'm not being hostile. Okay, I'm not being hostile.
Yeah.
Just saying you claim that the word tether doesn't mean someone who's clearly Caribbean or African of origin. You mean it's someone of that origin who undermines FBA, correct?
Right. Right.
But then in another brush, I have heard you on stream before refer to places like Little Haiti in Florida as Tether Central. So I'm asking, is everyone in that area a tether?
Okay, no, and you got to understand when we're in the context of roasting, because that's a part of our culture. A lot of times we will roast. Sometimes I'll roast some foundational Black American goods too. In the context of roasting, I'll be like, "That's single mother heaven. That's dusty nigga. That's the dusty nigga headquarters." So everybody's gonna get roasted, man. Some of y'all foreigners, y'all got to understand, you're not above getting roasted. And part of foundational Black American culture, we'll roast each other and we can still shake hands and be friends. That's a part of our culture. So sometimes you'll get a snap and you'll get a clap back and you'll get a zinger, but y'all take shit, yeah, yeah, y'all take the shit to heart, and that's the thing that makes y'all a little bit different from us. That's why we created the whole culture of roasting. So if somebody says something to us, it ain't gonna get us all bent out of shape, and we got to do a whole think piece about it. You understand? So,
Of course,
right.
yeah.
So
Uh, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that because, like, some people might think of it as a hypocrite thing, you know?
right, right. And I don't remember saying that Little Haiti was Tether Central. I don't remember saying that. So you got to pull up the file on that because I'm actually cool. I've been to Little Haiti and I'm actually cool with the people out there. So I don't remember even saying so, and I don't even know the context. So
It was like one of your videos on Tariq Radio, your YouTube channel.
mm,
I could pull it up
yeah,
if I dig through a little bit.
that up for me because I was probably talking about some people there, not the whole neighborhood. If I say something's tether central, that means there's some neighborhoods that got some tethers in it. And that doesn't mean the whole neighborhood is full of tethers, but there's some places where that's white supremacist central. That don't mean everybody's a white supremacist. There's you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
very, very true. Very true.
Right.
Thanks for clarifying that, Tariq.
There you go. All right, thank you so much. Oh Lord, I'll be getting all butt hurt. Man, shout out to everybody in here. It's my birthday right now. Shout out to everybody in here. What's up, Rashonda? I see you, Rashonda. Rashanda's a lovely sister. I see y'all down there. Let's get this brother here, Molo Lobby. See what it is. Molo Lobby. What's up, brother? Molo. I need to take my ass to bed. I got a flight in the morning, by the way. Molo, what's up, brother?
Man, not much. Tariq, I love listening to you. Happy birthday, man.
Man, thank you so much.
The world's a better place with you in it. Hey, since I've been
Go ahead.
I'm an entrepreneur, and man, everybody in here, we've all got our own problems, right?
Yeah.
Some of them are, some of them are sometimes race related. Living in the United States, being a black man or woman. But one thing we all got to is put food on the table and make our way in this world. Try to come up,
Hmm.
And I don't know, going back to that dude you were speaking with, when I've heard in the past, like black men and women, or um, they're typically white liberals, say that blacks built the United States, I know where they're coming from in spirit, and listening to you and having been educated by you, I feel even stronger about that spirit of when somebody says that.
Hmm.
But there's also a lot of people alongside of the black men and women who help build the country. And then you got the Industrial Revolution and all these other things. You do you think the United States is unique in the sense of like the Bill of Rights? Um, that I mean, for instance, like religion has always been a very divisive thing throughout history, at least the way I've kind of understood it. You don't believe what the king believes, you're going to chop your head off, or you got to worship in silence, like freedom of speech. And again, I feel like speech has never really been free in a lot of sense, especially talking to a black man, having relate that. But you feel where I'm coming from when like, uh, I guess, I'm trying to separate myself from being a white man and I can't do it, right?
Right.
But I'm all I give a shit about is the truth. And when I've so I just had my birthday the other day. I'm a 43-year-old young middle-aged man,
Hmm.
and the older I've always had this kind of problem with authority. Um, Kind of growing up, I didn't get in trouble or nothing, but mm, I don't know. And then as I've read through history, I've always appreciated the black struggle. And I grew up in South Texas, and so there's some racism, right? And people like I like Barack Obama at first, and people, call me, certain type of names for that.
Okay, thank you, brother. I had to let you go, brother, because yeah, you won't get to the point. You all over the place. You all over the place, and you losing the audience when you do that. Y'all got to get your thoughts together. Yeah, you all over the place, and I don't know what. You're just losing me. White people, listen. When you call up, y'all do just hours of splaining. Y'all call. You ain't got to splain. You be trying to splain, and then you gotta do these whole theories about everything and these soliloquies, and just it's you ain't got to do all that. Just kind of say what you need to say, because a lot of times deep down y'all gonna say something low key racist, so you try to pad it before you go there. So no, listen, Terry. I'm a white guy. I try to separate myself from the whiteness, but I live in Texas. My grandma was German, and my best bud I went to school with. He was Haitian, one of my best friends, and we were just best buds. He brought some Haitian um, jerk chicken, and, and I brought some avocado wraps. And we were just like Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson, this ebony and ivory, dude. What the hell y'all talking about, man? The y'all talking about, man? Good freaking grief. Okay. All right. Listen, okay, you ain't got to go through all that. Respect to you, respect to the law. God, uh, y'all don't have to tell me your Negro experiences. Every white person they got a Negro experience, you know, and it's all deep and it's some kind of spiritual shit that happened. Listen, when I was 15, my dad was a roadie for Kool and the Gang, and he took me backstage, and I met Robert Cool Bell, and it was such a spiritual enlightenment for me. And then when they sang "Celebrate," I was right there in the front row. Just I don't see color, dude. I saw Kool and the Gang. I didn't see five blacks on the stage. I saw humans celebrating the joy of Jesus Christ. Okay. All right, shit. Oh God. Okay. Lord. Oh goodness. Yeah, let me let me get y'all gonna have me in here all night. I got a plane to catch, man. My wife came downstairs like, get your ass upstairs. You know we got a plane to catch. My wife came down here with her fine ass with her bonnet on, giving me the signal. Like, you know you gotta go to bed. Ah, man. Well, I think we had some good conversation tonight. Yo, family, it's my birthday. So all day for my birthday, everybody contribute to the Hidden History Museum. That would be great. The Hidden History Museum, and also the Cash App. People are asking for the Cash App. My Cash App is $Kingflex818. That's the Cash App. $Kingflex818. But yeah, I would love everybody to contribute to the Hidden History Museum so we can help the community. That's good. That would be phenomenal. That's hiddenhistorymuseum.com, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm up out of here, guys. Y'all be good. Puppy Akute, Lola Vuve to the family. Peace.
Microphone check.